You will be learning that linear algebra is all about matrices. You'll be learning that. So for that, uh, let me present the screen. Okay. Can you share the book? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Should I zoom more or is it enough?
No, sir. No.
Enough, right? Okay. So for that, I yesterday I just forgot to tell you about this thing. Do you know that? Do you know relations and mapping?
Yes, sir. A little bit.
Yeah. From there, do you know what comparability is? You can compare if there is a total order. Do you know what about orders and all?
No, sir.
No, sir. I don't think so.
So I'm not going into details, but just give me a little example here. If there are two kinds of actually three kinds of, but generally uh, more useful is the first two kind of ordering of a set. Okay, so what is order? Order comes. So first, what is the purpose of relation in a set? You define relation. What is the purpose of relation? Relation is actually classifying some elements. They are related. If they are related, they are in a same class, right? You can tell it. Suppose in a set you have defined a relation and you say that if two elements of the set are related, they belongs to a same class of that set. So basically you are just classifying the whole set through a relation, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. Now another thing, from that relation there comes another thing called ordering. Like if I say that in real numbers, the set of all real numbers, I say that mm, I give you a relation where a is related to b if a is less than or equals to b. Okay, so if you start from any real number here, say a, so b is related to a if b is lesser or less than a, right? Lesser or equals to a.
Yes, sir.
So I write b like this. So look here, I am getting a tree kind of structure, actually a real line where I can put all the elements maintaining that order. If a is greater than b, then I put a in the right side of b. So you are getting the real line, right?
Yes, sir.
So now look, every element in this line is comparable. If you take any two elements, say here from a dash and here c, you can see that c is less than a dash, right? But suppose this is called total ordering. Every element is comparable. And there is another thing called partial ordering. What is partial ordering? Here you cannot put the elements in a line, but you can put the elements, suppose in a tree kind of structure. Here is all the nodes are basically some elements. Okay, some elements of the set. You say that suppose here is an element a and here is an element b. You say that b is greater than a if I also say that say it is the downward and this is the upward direction. Okay. I also say that B is greater than A if B is up from A. But here, suppose in the tree, from here, there is two branch, here and here, in the same level. Look here A dashed, B dashed and C dashed is there. You can say that B dashed is greater than A dashed. You can also say that C dashed is greater than A dashed. But you cannot say C dashed is greater than B dashed or C dashed is less than B dashed. You cannot say it, right? From this structure.
Yes, sir.
So this is actually partial ordering. Now, you don't need to know this in details, but you just need to know the definition of it.
Excuse
So
me,
now
sir.
look in partial, yeah. Tell me.
Sir, does this order partial ordering give rise to the structure, or does the structure give rise to the partial ordering?
No, if there is a partial ordering, you can structure it like this, and if there is a structure like this, you can also get a partial ordering. It's from it. You can deduce it from both sides.
So, but if we don't have the structure, how can we say that C is greater than B or B is greater than A if we are not given the structure in the first place?
Yeah, I just give this example for a pictorial view. Okay, but if there is a relation, you can always get a partial order through that relation. Like
Okay, sir.
I say that A is greater than B if A divides B. That is also a relation. So from that relation, you can get an order. Divisibility, I guess a partial order. I guess. I have to check it. But I'm not going into that direction. That is a different subject. But I just want to notice that here, you cannot compare B dashed and C dashed here. Right? So here, if you get a total ordering, you can get a maximum element from the set. Suppose the set has, suppose the set x1 to xn has a total ordering, then you can put the set in a line. Say the smallest say x1, the maximum say xn. You can put it always like this, right?
Yes, sir.
So in total ordering, you will always get a maximum element in a finite set. Maximum. But in a partial order, you can get a maximum element, but it is not the unique maximum element. There can be other maximum elements also. Right? Here, look, this is a maximum element because you cannot compare it to these elements. So it is a maximum element, it is a maximum element, it is a maximum element. All these open-ended leaf nodes, we call these leaf nodes, are maximum element, right?
Yes, sir.
So we call them maximal elements because the maximum is kind of unique, but maximal, there can be many maximal elements and all the maximum elements cannot be compared. So that's why they are maximal. You don't have to know it pretty precisely, just get the idea. Idea is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Now remember that a vector space can have many bases or bases, right? A finite vector space can have many bases, and all of the bases elements, all of the bases have same cardinality, same number of elements in them.
Yes, sir.
And if I add another element in the basis, the set will not remain linearly independent also. Right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So a basis is a maximal linearly independent set in a vector space. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Repeat again.
Basis is a maximal linearly independent subset of the vector space. Clear? Because you here the relation is defined as I say that a subset S of vector space, say S, and another subset of vector space S dash. S is less than S dash if S has small number of elements than S dash. By this relation, you will, if you check the ordering, you will get a partial order, and from that, all the maximal linearly independent subsets will be the basis. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is just a theorem. So basically, if you see that, if you sometimes there will be a question that dimension of the vector space is n. S is a given subset which is linearly independent and is of and has n minus 1 elements. Is it a basis?
No, sir.
Yeah. Suppose S is a linearly independent element with n elements and a set with n elements, and S dash is also a linearly independent subset with n elements. Both are bases, right? But you cannot compare them because they have same number of elements.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I will be coming to this new chapter. Yesterday I forgot to tell you about this thing, so I just told you. So here we come to a thing called linear transformation and matrices. So what is linear transformation? Linear transformation is basically a function. Say T be the function from a vector space V to another vector space W. Both are suppose over the field F. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And when we call this function a linear transformation, if they if properties. So suppose here suppose V is a vector space and W is another vector space. We define a function T from V to W such that for any X and Y in V, T of X plus Y, the plus is the vector addition, should belongs to W and it is nothing but Tx plus Ty. So under T, this X will have an image here, Tx, and under T, Y will have an image here, Ty. So and here X plus Y is also an element here. So the image of X plus Y will be nothing but the image of X plus the image of Y. Okay. This is the first condition. And the second condition is X is an element in V and F was the field. So suppose C is a scalar from the field C. So Cx also belongs to this vector space V. So the image of Cx will will be C and the image of X.
Okay.
Yeah. If these two conditions meet properly in that function T, then we call T a linear transformation. Okay. Now to give you an example here. Okay, another thing is look here. If T has to be a linear transformation, then the image of 0 will always be the zero vector of the other vector space. It shall be maintained also. So if I give you a function t, if I give you a function t and define it like x and y, so something here, you just have to check if t of 0 is 0 vector, t of 0 v, the 0 vector of v, image of 0 vector of v is the 0 vector of w or not. You have to check it first. Then you have to check it if t of a x plus y is a into tx plus y or not. If these two conditions are met, you can say that it is a linear transformation.
Sir, there will be T of Y, na?
Yeah, t of y. Sorry.
होगा
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. T of y. You can actually you can omit this part also. You just have to check this because t of 0v comes from the definition. Look, if I say x is 0 and y is also 0, then t of 0 plus 0 will be t of 0 plus t of 0, right? By the first condition.
Yes, sir.
Now t of 0 plus 0 is basically nothing but t of 0, because 0 plus 0 vector is 0 vector only, and here it will remain same. So basically if you cancel one t of 0 from both sides, you will get t of 0 equals to 0. So you don't have to check this also, just you have to check this meets or not. Okay.
Okay.
So first let me give you an example. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So first, this vector space. What is this vector space?
Polynomial
What
of
are
n degree over R.
Polynomial of degree less than or equal to n, not exactly n, less than or equal to n. Okay. So let's say v is this and w is pn minus 1 r, and we define a function from b to w as t of polynomial, say let's say the polynomial is f, then the image will be f dashed. Is it a linear transformation?
Sir, can you please admit Pushan? Sir, he had a power cut and couldn't join earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir, it is.
Why? Tell me.
So because differentiation of two functions can be differentiation of sum of two functions can be written as a sum of the
Yes.
differentiation of two.
Yes. So basically, t of, say two functions are two polynomials are f and g. So if I have to check t of f plus g, it will be f plus g differentiation. So it is nothing but f dash plus g dash, right? So it is f dash is basically nothing but t of f, and g dash is nothing but t of g. So the condition holds. So it is a linear transformation. Also, similarly, you can check this. This wait. Also, you can similarly check this. C of R. Do you know what vector space is this? The set of all continuous real valued function. Okay.
Sir, can you please show the last slide again?
Last, okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, C of R is the set of all continuous real valued function. Okay. Now, if I define a function like this, t from CR to CR, such that t of a function f is integration of, let me check it, integration of, okay, not CR, here the function from CR to R, R is a vector space also, right? So two vector spaces are V is CR and W is R, and we define the function t of f as from integration of a to b f. You can check it, it is also a linear transformation. Like t of f plus g is nothing but integration a to b f plus g, and you just divide the integration in both parts.
Sir,
Yeah.
so do we need that continuity thing there? Do we? Because if you're defining integral, like if you're writing an integral a to b f, it implies that the over that interval f should be continuous.
No.
Like otherwise, we cannot write. Like,
No. There are some non-continuous functions also. They are also integrable. Integration is not.
what I'm saying. So I'm saying is, if the function is not continuous in the range a to b, then we cannot write integral a to b f. We can write a to c integral f and then c integral.
You can also write integration a to b of f if f is not continuous also. Continuity is not if it is continuous, then it is integrable. But if it is not continuous, then it also can be integrable. But there is a thing called measure. This is a different kind of that is a different thing. Yeah, that is a different thing. If a function is measure 0, then point of discontinuity of a function is measure 0 set, then you can say the function is integrable. So that is something different. You don't have to know all this.
You're talking about Lebesgue integrals.
What?
You're talking about Lebesgue integrals that measure 0.
Yeah, that integral. Yeah, that integration is this integration only. What you have done, that is Lebesgue integrals only.
Yeah. Okay.
So continuity here is necessary. Okay, because if it is not continuous, it will not be a vector space also, I guess. So for it to be a vector space, you have to consider the continuous functions. Okay, now I just want to tell you about two specific linear transformations. Say V is a vector space and W is a vector space. I define I, a linear transformation from V to W, such that I of basically not V to W, V to V. V to V. I is basically the identity function. I of x equals to x. You can check it. It's a linear transformation. Always. This is called the identity transformation, or here I don't know what they have called it. Yes, they have called it identity transformation. Okay.
Sir, Bavav is trying to join. He joined once, but he got left out. So please accept him, sir.
Okay.
Actually, sir, he is from village area.
Sir, actually,
Okay.
no, that's not the matter.
Everyone is not from village area.
Okay, that's fine. Now, can you say that it is a linear transformation, this function?
Yes, sir.
Why? Why? Can you tell me?
Because sir, because sir, it is a means element to itself mapping. So zero can be mapped to zero itself. So
Okay. And the other
this is the
part?
first.
What
Yes,
is
sir. So
what
and the
is the
next one.
condition? Yeah. Tell me. Ax
Yes,
plus
sir.
y,
Yes,
suppose.
sir.
What will it be?
2
X plus y would be.
A1
Yeah.
2 A1 plus A1 plus B.
This would be this because it is identity mapping, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And here ix equals to x. So in case of ix, you can write x. You can
It can
write
be written in a into I of x plus I of y.
yeah. So it's a linear
So the condition
transformation.
satisfied.
Yeah. This
Yes,
is
sir.
a identity linear transformation. We denote it by IV for a vector space V. And this the domain is V and the range is also V here, right? And another transformation is T0, the zero transformation. T0 from suppose V to W is nothing but T0 of X equals to 0. The whole image is only the zero set, null vector. This is called zero transformation. Clear till now?
Yes, sir. Repeat once again. Sir. Zero transformation.
Zero transformation is basically suppose V is a vector space and W is a vector space and T0 is a zero transformation. We call it zero transformation. It is nothing but the map takes all the elements from the domain to the zero null vector. So image of the null function is basically the null vector only.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Now there are other examples here. You can check it. From R2 to R2, they have defined the function as T of A1 comma A2 as 2 of A1 plus A2 comma A1, and you can check it by yourself. Now another interesting example here. This one. Have you studied in geometry, coordinate geometry, the axis, rotation of axis and translation of axis, all that?
Yes, sir, a bit.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So suppose I give you a
So translation of
translation. I'm not talking about translation today because it is not a linear transformation, but rotation is nothing but a linear transformation. Okay. So let me give you the idea here. Where is it? Yeah. So suppose here the black coordinate is the initial coordinate, and after I rotate the axis with a degree theta, this point becomes x dash comma y dash. This point x comma y becomes x dash comma y dash. So this formula, I guess all of you knows what will be x dash in terms of x and what will be y dash in terms of y, right?
Yes, sir.
So basically here, look, t of x dash comma y dash is nothing but this one. You can write it also like this, where t is the transformation. T is the transformation from R2 to R2 and defined as t of x dash comma y dash t of x comma y equals to x cos theta minus y sin theta comma x sin theta plus y cos theta. That will give you the point after rotation.
Yes, sir.
Right? So that is basically a linear transformation. And another interesting thing here, you can write it in terms of matrices also. Suppose you write the point as x, y as a column matrix here, and you multiply that matrix with that column matrix with this one, this matrix cos theta minus sin theta cos theta. Then look, you will get what the if you multiply this, you will get this matrix x cos theta minus y sin theta, x sin theta plus y cos theta, right? right? Everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
So basically after multiplying this matrix with this point, you will get another point. I write it here, x dash y dash. It is nothing but this, and that is basically the new coordinate of the point, right? After rotation. So you can write it via a linear transformation and also a matrix multiplication kind of way. So is there a connection between linear transformation and matrix? Here is the number one question. Is there a connection between linear transformation and matrix? The first question is here. Another example is this. Suppose A and B is a point here and it is the x-axis, and I take the reflection of that point considering x-axis as the mirror. So the point will be here A comma minus B. The reflection would be, right?
Right.
So if I take this transformation t from R2 to R2 defined as t of AB, the image of AB point will be A comma minus B. You will get this thing, right?
Yes, sir.
And also here, look, if you multiply this point A comma B written as the column vector here with this matrix, you will get this point also, the reflection point, right?
Yes, sir.
So the question again appear. Hello?
Answer, sir,
Hello?
point minus.
Yeah, it is, your voice is not clear. Can you type the question? Can you type the question in the chat? You type it, then tell me that you have typed. I will check it then. Okay. Hello. Okay, let me continue here. So the question is again there, is there a connection between matrix and linear transformation somehow? Because in both cases we have seen that we can write write this geometric phenomena as linear transformation and a matrix multiplication also, and in this case also, right? So we will answer this question today, but first let me give some definitions to you. Another thing is projection. Projection, you will check here. It is
Sir, example 3 to sir एक बोलवा. Sir, example 3 to.
example 3. This one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. They have defined the transformation as the point A1 comma A2 goes to 2A1 plus A2 comma A1. Now look here. Suppose they have chosen 2 points X and Y from R2.
Okay.
Is it okay? Hello?
Sir, 2A1 plus A2 2.
2A1 plus A2 is the, you can define as anything, right? The transformation. You first have to check it is a transformation or not. You can define it as anything. You can define T of A1 comma A2 as something like a billionth of A1 plus minus A2 plus 10 billion of A1. The question is it a linear transformation or not? They're answering this here. The function can be anything, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So have you gone through this checking here? They have done, or do you have the problem with the definition of the function only, the transformation of? Okay, go through this thing first. Okay, if there is some confusion after that, I will be there in WhatsApp also. Just ping me. So if you check here, projection is also a linear transformation defined by this mapping. A1 comma A2 goes to A1 comma 0. Projection on x-axis. It is a linear transformation. Can you guess what the matrix will be? Anyone?
So which one?
Let me write it. Suppose this is the Euclidean plane and there is a point A1 comma A2, and I take the projection of this on x-axis. What will it be? A1 comma 0, right? So I can explain this phenomena as a linear transformation which takes A1 comma A2 to A1 comma 0, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in the previous two examples, here A1, A2 equals to A1, 0. In previous two examples, we got a matrix. After we multiply with this point, we got the desired point, right? So here, can you guess the matrix, or will there be a matrix?
Sir, active one or baki tinta 0.
What?
There will be a matrix.
What will
1
it be?
0 0 0.
1 0 0 0. Right.
1 double 0.
Yes. So it will give you the desired point. So our assumption that linear transformation is nothing but a matrix grows strong here, right? After this example also. Now let me define something before answering that question. Let me define something. Okay. So first, wait. Null space of a linear transformation. Null space is basically the set of elements belongs to V such that the image of these elements is 0. The set of all elements whose image is 0 under this linear transformation T. Clear?
Yes, sir.
We define it as null space of T. The null space of the linear transformation T is all the elements belongs to the set vector space V such that the image of the vector space under the transformation is 0 vector in W. So we are saying that null space. So that means it should be a subspace of the vector space V. There is a proof that it is a subspace. NT is a subspace of V, but I'm not proofing it right now. You can check it in the book. And we also define another thing, range of T. Range of T is nothing but the range of function kind of thing. So the image set, basically you can define it as range of the linear transformation T is defined as all the Y belongs to W such that there exists some X belongs to V such that Tx equals to Y, the image. Clear?
Yes.
Everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will define, another thing is, a null space is a subspace. I told you this is also a subspace of the vector space. Which vector space? Range of T will be subspace of which vector space?
W.
So W.
Yes. Yes. So range of T is basically, range of T is a subspace of vector space W. Now, I told you about dimension of a vector space. So subspace is also a vector space. So it should have a dimension also, because the vector space V and W we assume to be finite dimensional. Every vector space I am talking about in this lecture is finite dimensional. So I'm not telling it everywhere, but there are some infinite vector spaces also. We are not dealing with this in these lectures. Dimensional. Okay. So subspace would be finite dimension also. So null space of T has a dimension also, right? And null space, dimension of null space is called nullity of T. So nullity of T is what? Dimension of null space of T. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So another thing we call rank of T. What is the rank of T? Rank of T is basically dimension of range of T. Clear? Range of T is also a subspace. So it should have a dimension also. And the dimension is called rank of T. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
you
sir.
have learned, you know about rank of matrices, right? Was it in your syllabus in 11th or 12th? Rank?
No,
Sir, it was not there in
Sir,
the
it was
12th
not there
syllabus.
in the syllabus, but we have studied.
Some
You
of
have
us.
studied. So
No,
No, sir.
sir.
I have not
I had
studied,
not
sir.
studied.
Not
Sir, I have
I
not
okay.
studied, sir.
everyone.
had not studied, sir. No, sir.
Okay. I will tell you
Sir,
about more.
Joydeep is okay.
I will I will talk about it in a very discussed matter. But right now, you know the term rank, right? For a matrix, there is a term called rank of a matrix. So here for linear transformation also, there is a term called rank. So again, the question arises, is linear transformation is nothing but matrices and all? So I will answer that also. But first, let me give you some examples here about the nullity and rank of a linear transformation. So here they have given an example. Suppose the linear transformation is T from R3 to R2, defined as T of A1, A2, A3 is A1 minus A2, comma, say A3. Now, what is the, which elements would be in the null space of T? So for that, let some element xyz belongs to null space of T. Then T of xyz, what will it be? Can anyone tell me? If it belongs to the null space, the image will be
x1 minus x2 x3.
That is from here, but in general, it is in null space means the
0 0 0.
0, right?
0, sir.
Yeah, but from here you can say that it is x minus y comma z equals to 0 vector in R2, that is 0 comma 0. So from here you will get x equals to y and z equals to 0. So x equals to y means the vector will become like this. This vector will look like this. So all these elements from R3 will belongs to the null space. Right? So I can say that 2 comma 2 comma 0 belongs to it. 1 comma 1 comma 0 belongs to it. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. And what is the dimension of null space here? Can you tell me? The dimension.
One.
Yes, dimension would be 1 because the basis, what will be the basis of null space?
1 1 0.
Yes, 1 1 0. It would be the basis of the null space. Null space is nothing but the span of this vector, right? Right. So the dimension of null space is 1. And what will be the image? Is it a onto mapping or not? If it is an onto mapping, you can say the image is the whole R2. If it is not onto, you cannot say the image is R2, right? So is it onto?
No, sir,
mapping?
it's not on.
Why?
Sir, more like the whole line is mapped to a 0, like x 0.
No. I'm saying that this mapping, T is onto or not? Null space you have got. Null space, what we have got? Null space of T is the elements x0. And nullity of T is 1. You have got this. But now my question is, what about the subspace RT, the image of T? So suppose the image is whole R2 space. Okay. Here I'm doing this. So for that, AB belongs to RT. If AB belongs to RT, then there have to be some x comma y belongs to R3 such that T of xy equals to AB. Right?
Yes, sir.
So T of xy is what? T of xy, xyz. T of xyz is what? X minus y comma z equals to a comma b. So a is basically x minus y and z is basically b. So if I give you any number, say 5, you can always get two numbers whose difference is 5, right? You will get 10 and 5. X is 10 and y is 5, then you will get a equals to x minus y equals to 5. Right? So for any a, you will find x and y such that a equals to x minus y, and z is nothing but b. So b is basically the z portion of the xyz tuple. So you can say that for all xyz, for all AB belongs to R2, you will always get up x, y, and z such that T of xyz is nothing but AB. You can say it from here only, right?
Yes, sir.
So the map takes the image of the map is basically the whole R2 space, because every point in R2 has a image, pre-image. So it is onto, right?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Got it.
So R3 is nothing but R2. What is the dimension of R2? Dimension of R3 is denoted by rank of T. It is 2. Now check nullity of T plus rank of T. What does it get you? 3, which is nothing but dimension of R3. Basically dimension of V. Here V is R3. Right?
So does this relation always hold?
Yes, this relation is universal. It is a famous theorem, rank nullity theorem. It is called rank nullity theorem, and it will always hold. Dimension theorem, they have mentioned it, but more popularly it is known as rank nullity theorem. It will hold if V is finite dimensional, but as I told you that in this lecture, everything I talk about is finite dimensional vector space, not infinite dimensional. So in this lecture, this will always hold. Okay. Is it clear till now? There is a proof. You can go through the proof also here in the book, but I am not going details with the proofs here. Okay. So you don't have to calculate here also. Whenever you get nullity is 1, you can say that rank is 2. Rank is 2 because the dimension of R3 was 3. So rank will be 3 minus 1 is 2. So the mapping must have to be on 2. You don't have to check even if it is on 2 or not. Right?
Yes, sir.
So what are here? Some important theorems are there, like another interesting theorem. Look here. Suppose V and W are vector spaces, and T is a linear transformation. Then T is 1 to 1. That is, T is injective. If and only if null space of T is only the zero vector. So basically what? Basically, there is a mapping from a vector space V and a vector space W. The mapping is denoted by T, which is a linear transformation. I say that T is injective. Then null space of T is zero vector. That is, only the zero vector's image will be zero vector. No other vector will give you the zero vector through the mapping. Clear? The statement, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And it is true from both sides. If the null space is zero vector only, then it is injective. Also, it is true from both sides. Okay. And for the proof is very simple. You can check here. Suppose, okay, you can check the proof in home. It is pretty simple proof. Okay. Now, another thing. Suppose V is a vector and W is a vector, and dimension of V equals to dimension of W. And T is a linear transformation from V to W. Okay. Now I am saying that if null space of T is 0, then T is bijective. Null space T is 0 means it is injective. And these conditions, if I add this condition with these assumptions, it will give me bijection also. That is on 2 also. Why? Can anyone try? It will, one hint is it will come from rank nullity theorem.
So in that theorem, null of T is the zero vector, so its dimension is zero. So rank of T will be equal to the dimension of V.
Yes, so that is the rank of T will be dimension of W, not V. And because dimension of W equals to V, that means that's why you can write dimension of V. So basically it is onto, right? After this, there are some examples like if you want to check, do you want to check one example yourself? Anyone interested? Just a simple example, this one. Are you sure that null space will be 0? They have just written it is easy to see that null space of T is 0, but is it really easy for you to see?
Sir, like
Tell me. No
So
problem.
increasing function.
But
so yeah, it will be zero.
okay, then
And we can
how?
we can do the calculation in the mind also. Like if this is a null space, then all the A1 A2 should be mapped to 0. So A2 plus
Yeah.
A1 is 0 and A1 is 0. So if
Yeah.
A1 is 0, then it has to be 0. So
Yes, obviously. So null space is basically 0 vector. So what is the dimension of what is the rank of the transformation T?
So it will be 2, right? If F2 is there, it's F2 there, right?
Yeah. So it will be 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So these examples are also there. You will check it, I guess. Now comes the interesting part. Transformation is matrices only, right? So for that, so matrix representation of a linear transformation. So suppose T is a linear transformation of which we will going to write the matrix for. So T is a linear transformation from a vector space V to vector space W. Okay, another thing is ordered basis. I have to forget to tell you about ordered basis. Okay, so basis, you know that basis is basically, suppose V is a vector space with a basis beta, which is basically nothing but x1 to xn, suppose. And if you consider it in set theoretic approach, gamma here is nothing but beta only, right? Just x2 and x1 are exchanged the places, right?
Yes, sir.
But if we consider the ordering also, they are not same. And when we will dealing with the matrix representation of linear transformation, we will be dealing with ordered basis. So ordered have to be preserved also. So ordered, which if we consider a basis say beta, then for beta we always write the beta in the same ordering it is provided. We will not change the order. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So suppose V has a ordered basis beta here from x1 to xn. And
could you please explain that once again, sir, the last thing?
Okay. Suppose a vector space V has a basis beta, which is nothing but x1 to xn, the set. And gamma is nothing but the set only, beta set only, but x1 and x2 have exchanged their places. So in terms of set theory, they are equal. Beta is equal to gamma because in set the position doesn't matter. But if you have considered the ordering of the set, then you cannot say beta equals to gamma. Beta is not equals to gamma if you consider the ordering also. So a basis, a set with an particular order, we call it ordered set. Here, if we are considering an ordered basis, so the basis is nothing but a set, but the set how it is written initially, in which order, we will maintain that order throughout the whole calculation part. Okay, so that is ordered basis.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, suppose T is a linear transformation, and we will be providing a matrix that will represent this linear transformation. The linear transformation is from a vector space V to a vector space W. Both are finite dimensional, and V has a ordered basis beta, which is the set x1 to ordered set x1 to xn, and W has a ordered basis gamma from y1 to ym. Here beta has n dimension, V has dimension n, and the dimension of W is m, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, under T, x1 will go to somewhere in W, will be an element, suppose u1 in W, right?
Yes, sir.
And W has a basis, ordered basis y1 up to ym. So you can write u1 as, say, a11 y1 plus a12 y2 plus a1m ym, right? Sorry, just 1 second. We will be denoting these scalars as this. You can write the scalar as anything, but for the actual matrix representation, I am denoting the scalar as this: a11, a21 up to am1 ym. You can write it like this also. These are the scalars, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for any txi, you will get a ui. You can write it as a 1i y1 plus a 2i y2 plus a mi ym, right? Now, let me write that expression first. 1i, i1 or 1y? Let me check. To be a column. So I will, okay, I1, sorry, I1 x1, not x1, a I1 y1 plus a I2 y2 plus dot dot a im ym, right? You can write txi as this because yi's are basis elements of W, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, for x1, suppose I construct a matrix like this. Now for x1, the scalars, you will get a11, a12 up to a1m. Wait, I messed up here, right? I will be here. One, two, sorry, 2, 1 up to am1. And for the tx2, you will get similarly this, where the scalars will be a12, a22, right? That's how, if you construct the matrix, it would be 1n, a2n, mn. You can construct a matrix like this
Yes, sir.
Now if you check, this matrix is nothing but the representation of the linear transformation. So if I say that linear transformation T sets a point, say x1 to x2 to somewhere y1 to y2, the same matrix A, x1 will send the point x1 to x2 to y1 to y2. So this matrix is nothing but the linear transformation, and the linear transformation is nothing but the matrix. I will give you an example here. Give me any linear transformation. Say, let us do it in R2 first. Wait, let me do it first. This one. Okay. So T is a linear transformation from P3x to P2x, defined as T of f equals to f dashed. So here, what are the bases of if there is no basis given, you can consider the standard basis. What is the basis of P3x?
1x square.
X square x
One
cube.
x.
1x x square x cube. And what is the basis of this?
1x and x square.
1x and x square, right? So now we will just do like this. First we consider this point, this vector T of 1. What will T1 be? 0, right?
Yes, sir.
So basically 0 into 1 plus 0 into x plus 0 into x square. I'm constructing the matrix here. So what you will do, you will just write these scalars in the first column, 0, 0, 0. Now come to this part, x. What will Tx be? 1, right?
Yes, sir.
So it is basically 1 into 1 plus 0 into x plus 0 into x square. What will be this column?
1 0 0.
1 0 0. Now say T of x square. What will it be?
210.
210. 2x, not 210. 0 into 1 plus 2 into x plus 0 into x square. So 0 2 0, right? The order is important. That's why we have taken the order basis. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now T of x cube. It will become 3 into x square. 0 into 1 plus 0 into x plus 3 into x square. 0 0 3. So give me a polynomial of degree 3 or less than equals to 3. Any polynomial. Give me.
X cube plus 3x plus 5.
X cube plus 3x plus 5, right? If you write this like a vector, what will it be? So basically, what will it? Where will it go under the linear transformation? 3x square
plus 3.
3, right? Okay. Now look, if I consider this matrix, what was the matrix? 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 2 0 0 0 3, right? And you have given 3. What you have given? The polynomial x cube plus 3x plus 5. You have given x cube plus 3x plus 5. You can write it like 5 comma 3 comma 0 comma 1, right?
Yes, sir.
The order was important. In our basis, 1 was first, so I am considering this one first. So I'm going this way. 1x, x square, x cube. So through that ordering, 5 comes first, then 3, then 0, then 1. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I write the point here, 5301. 5301 is nothing but this polynomial, right?
Yes, sir.
Now what will the matrix be after multiplication?
Zero three zero zero.
First will be 3, not 0. 0 into 5 plus 1 into 3. So 3 will be there. After that, 0. After that, 3. Look now. 303, which polynomial it is? So this was the constant term, 3 into 1 plus 0 into x plus 3 into x square. This is nothing but the polynomial, 3 plus 3x square. So you basically got the result which the linear transformation gave you, right?
Yes, sir.
So every linear transformation can be represented as a matrix as long as there is linear transformation from V to W can represent it as a matrix as long as you have an ordered basis here and an ordered basis here. And if there is no basis given, you can consider the standard basis. Like here, I have not given you any basis here, so you have considered this as a basis, right?
Yes, sir.
And ordering is also important whenever you are transforming a linear transformation to a matrix, representing a linear transformation to a matrix. The order of the basis is so much important here, because if there was no order, you could have write 5 instead of 5301. You could have written from this or this side also 1035. Then the whole polynomial would change. So order is important. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I guess there will be questions from this also in your exams. So they will give you a linear transformation. You have to consider, you have to represent the matrix of it. So in all previous years, there was some questions of this kind. So it's pretty important for you guys also. Okay. And also, the thing is, if there are two linear transformations, T and say U, and T plus U, and suppose A represent the matrix of T and B represent the matrix of U, then T plus U, the matrix of T plus U will be just A plus B. Okay. Also, T is a linear transformation and A is a scalar. Suppose A is from F, the field. AT is also a linear transformation. AT is nothing but the matrix of A into the scalar A. And can you tell me what the matrix multiplication relation between matrix multiplication and these two linear transformations?
Composition.
Yes. So basically it is nothing but TU, composition. Right. So basically another thing is there, which is if you consider the set of all linear transformation such that T is from a vector space V to W, say dimension of V is n and dimension of W is m. Okay, then this set is also a vector space. You can prove that. And it is nothing but the vector space of all matrices of dimension m cross n. Clear?
Yes, sir.
You can, because linear transformations are matrices of order m cross n. So the vector space of all linear transformation is nothing but the vector space of all matrices of order m cross n. They are kinda equal. Mathematically, they're equal. Okay. There's many examples are there. The more you look into this example, the concept will be clear and clearer. Okay. So there are so much exercises here also. You can try these exercises where you have to compute the matrix of the linear transformation given. Okay. And rank of matrix is nothing but the rank of the linear transformation. They are same. And nullity of matrix is also defined the same way. Nullity of matrix is nothing but the nullity of the linear transformation. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So the term you heard, the rank of a matrix, we have defined it today. After so long time, we have defined it. So in next class, I will be teaching you about how to calculate the ranks and all. There is a thing called row operations in matrix. We will be learning that in the next class. And what are there? Let me see. Dual space is not needed for you. Okay, elementary matrix operation and system of linear equations. So you have learned in like 7th or 6th standard the elimination method. In which standard was there? It was there. If you
So which elimination method, sir?
elimination method is basically that you have a system of linear equation, 3 equations, 3 variable. You have to solve for the 3 variables. So what you did for x1, you the coefficient of x1 for the next 2 equation, you made it 0 by some operations, multiplying the first equation by 2 plus the second equation, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That was called elimination method for solving system of linear equations. So that technique is developed from matrices only. That technique we will formally define it, formally teach you in the next, say in the next class, or I will start it by the next class, or I will start it in the after that class, next class. Next class I will be teaching you this elementary matrix operations on all, and from there you can find the rank of the matrix. If you get the rank of the matrix, then the null space will be there also by rank nullity theorem. By the way, rank nullity theorem holds for linear transformation. That means it will hold for matrices also, because they are same, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next class, this elementary row operations, how to calculate rank, how to calculate nullity. Yeah, I will be teaching you this in the next class, and there will be questions from like what is the rank of the matrix and these in your exams also. So next class is pretty much important also. So okay. For
Okay,
today's lesson, it is done. Okay.
Okay,
So,
sir.
any question for regarding today's class? I guess you all can now compute the matrix, right? If given a linear transformation, I guess all of you can calculate the matrix from that now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was the target of today's lesson, and the theorem, the rank nullity theorem, is pretty important. From there, we will from this can be used as a tool for different problems in linear algebra. And any other questions? No? Is there no question? Okay, then it's good that you have no question now. Okay, so